What's up, horror community? I'm Stock, and today's video, well, it's an interesting one because it is time to talk about Halloween Ends. And this movie was one of my most hated movies ever. Like, it pissed me off so much when I saw it for the first time in theater a few weeks ago. But last night, I gave it my first rewatch. And now I'm up in the air, which is so shocking to say because I hated it so much after the first watch. But now I'm kind of like a mixed bag. If I had to choose, I'm still more on the negative side. But the fact that I could say that I'm kind of mixed on a lot of aspects is pretty freaking incredible after all of my hate about it the first time I've seen it. So let's dive into it a little bit. So opening scene. So opening scene in Halloween Ends is very different than most opening scenes you've seen in any Halloween film before. I'm not going to explain who each character is. If you're watching a Halloween Ends video, it means you've probably seen the movie. But Corey. So Corey starts on the opening scene, and he has this whole thing where he kills this young kid, and it's very shocking. It's a shock value kill. That's where I credit it. And when I saw this for the first time in theater, it kind of like made me go like, whoa, that was surprising. But after the rewatch and knowing what I was getting into, I appreciated this opening more. I appreciated it for its difference, and I appreciated it for killing a young little kid like that and making you feel a certain way. And it even shows. It's not like it cuts away when the little kid dies. Like, it shows it, and it's pretty wild. So I'm going to bounce around everywhere in this mixed review. I'm going to say some things I like, then I'll be talking about something I still hate, and then I'll be saying something I still like. So let's talk about something I don't like, and that is Michael Myers in the regards to why he's so weak. Why he's so weak in this movie makes absolutely zero sense to me. Especially coming off of Kills, which is his strongest movie in the entire franchise in either timeline. Like, Kills is definitely his strongest movie ever, and you follow it up by this movie where he's like super weak. I try to understand it for this movie, his weak role, which makes other stuff in this film make sense. But when you talk about the sheer fact of him being weak in this movie, I think it makes zero sense. I think you get zero explanation why, and that is something this movie definitely still misses for me and still pisses me off. And also, like, why is my boy in the sewer? Why is my son in the sewer? Like, there's no explanation. Like, there's just no reason to why he's been chilling in a sewer for 4 years. Like, I know that old hobo guy that they introduced in this is like, oh, he's down here, oh, he kills down here, which at least explains that he killed over the past 4 years, but why? Why is he just hanging out in a sewer? Something I did get to like more the second time around. I do like the interesting element of what they do with Corey in this movie and what they explain him to be. I think he has a lot of good backstory, but now I'm going to talk about something I didn't like about it is the fact that Allison like immediately falls in love with this dude like within like a day and like wants to leave with him and is completely on board with him. Like, that still doesn't sit right for me. Like, I understand you have shared trauma and both you guys have been through so much, but it's very quick and it's very confusing to me that like they would have this close of a bond that quickly. Something else I'm still not good with here is everyone being so moved on. Like, everyone, I understand it was 4 years ago Kills what happened and nothing happened in 4 years, but this boogeyman, this monster is still on the loose. Like, he's still alive. Like, he was gone for 40 years and people were worried still, or Laurie was worried still, but now he's been gone for only 4, and a lot of people are kind of just moved on. Like, that's like the thing you're supposed to do is move on. Like, he is far from dead after the end of Kills. So the whole thing of moving on to this, I feel like did not work, did not make sense. Still, to me, after a second watch, does not make sense to me. Something I've been complaining about after the first time I watched this movie was the fact that I felt like they didn't tribute Karen's death, the mother's death from Kills. I feel like they didn't tribute it enough in this movie. But after the second watch, I'm kind of on the opposite field of that, because they do tribute it. They do say it. Allison does say she lost her parents. They do have the rings, the wedding rings from both of her parents shown in this. There is even scenes where Laurie has, a picture of Karen as her lock screen on her phone. So that is something I must have missed. And also, when I saw it for the first time, there was a lot of blind rage going in my head where I was just like, why is Michael Myers not in this movie? And I was just instantly mad and just kind of ignoring a lot of details, so that was on me. Even Laurie, I thought, was really good in this movie. I thought this was actually probably a better performance of her than Kills brought. I think she was one of the most likable characters in this movie, and I thought her role worked really well for this movie. Even scenes like where she gets blamed for like Michael Myers' trauma in certain scenes, where the lady who survived Kills, who got her neck cut, and she can't even speak, and her sister that she's with sees Laurie, and she's just like blames her for it, for letting this happen, letting Michael Myers do this again. Scenes like that really good. I really like Laurie and Frank's interactions in this movie as well. So I don't know if I'm right on this, but something I got from this movie on the rewatch was I feel like Michael Myers let Corey live when he first strangled him in the sewer. I feel like he let him live because he knew he was weaker. In terms of this movie, he's weaker, so maybe he felt like he had to give his evil to someone else so that shape can transform, which they were going with, into this other person when Michael Myers is long and gone. And if that's the case, I could kind of get behind this movie a little more in those regards as well, which is different. It's ballsy. I know Michael Myers is my favorite icon of all time, but if that is your story, if that's what you're going with, I could get behind it. I could try to understand it, but I still, going back to what I said earlier, don't get why he's so weak. Scene that still kind of ruffles me still was the sewer scene where Corey kind of just takes Michael Myers' mask, and just kind of shoves him. Like I said in my rant video, like two brothers fighting, it looks like two siblings just going at it. That's what I got from this scene, and I saw like Michael Myers does like kind of force him back a few times, but overall he pushes him to the ground. He takes his mask, and Corey says to him that he's just a man in a mask, and takes his mask. I didn't like that disrespect. I still don't like that scene. I still don't think that scene was needed. I think if you do that scene of Corey taking his mask and wearing his mask, it could have been done way better. Let's talk about some positives. I thought the unique Michael and Corey teaming up in that one kill scene, super unique. I don't see Michael Myers teaming up with someone in this whole story that they're in this current timeline. I don't see that happening, but since they went with it, that scene was really good, where they go into the house and they kill the two workers from where Allison works at the hospital, kills the lady and kills the boss, and I like that scene. I do. I think that scene and that was really good. I think where they show Corey in the background with his scarecrow mask and he's killing that one person, and he's kind of just in the background, that looked really good until it shows him and he has got the mask on like that. And then I absolutely loved this is a love from this movie, when Michael Myers tributed the Bob death from the original, and he stacked that lady up against the wall with his knife, holding her there just like Bob in the original. He admired it, tilted his head. Great kill. If you're gonna go with these two teaming up in this very unique, weird thing that they were going with, it was a good scene. It was a good scene and it worked. So here's a thing I'm up in the air about. Here's a take I don't know if I truly feel it, but in ways I do right now. And it is the fact that Michael Myers is kind of sidelined, the fact that he's kind of backgrounded and he's kind of overshadowed by Corey. In ways, this makes me feel like it is the actual end of Michael Myers, and that does give me a feeling like, damn, like this is really the end. Him being sidelined like that and seeing him be weaker than Corey and seeing him just take that step back in ways adds for me to a finale. I still hate half of it, don't get me wrong. I still hate half that he is sidelined, that this new character is in the last chapter of his franchise, of his saga. I do still hate that, but another part of me is like, I can kind of get behind it. It's weird. I still don't know my full feelings on this movie. I also do like Corey using all of his kills in this movie. All the kills he does make are all the people that gave him a hard time in this film. All the people that kind of pushed him down and bullied him. It kind of reminds me of almost like a Rob Zombie Michael Myers portrayal that they kind of did in Rob Zombie 2007 with getting bullied and killing that person. It reminded me of that. And another thing I could get behind, and something I got behind a lot more on the rewatch. Skipping to the ending on this whole quick mixed review video that just aired my thoughts on this rewatch, and I have to talk about that this whole movie is based on Corey, this new character. I'm kind of getting behind him. I kind of understand this story. I kind of like the story of him, of this Corey character. I think they did it well in ways, but it ends with Michael Myers ultimately killing him, snapping his neck. That's weird. That's weird to me. I mean, if you use this whole movie, you build him up and he dies. was that all like for nothing? Did that mean nothing for anything going forward? But if this is the last movie, why would he still have to be alive? But he could also, if they continue this saga with Michael Myers gone and this new shape of evil being a thing, maybe he's still alive. Maybe he lived getting his neck snapped. Look at Michael Myers and all the stuff he ended up living into more sequels and sequels. So it could still work. Just right now, I don't know how to feel about it. And then you have the final fight. You have Laurie and Michael Myers, the whole thing you've been waiting for to have in Halloween Ends, the thing that was billed all over the place. And you got their fight. And the first time I saw it, I was so blind rage once again. The first time in theaters, I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, oh my God, he's barely in it. Who is this character? Corey, what is this? This is garbage. This time I saw it as its own thing, what it is. And I liked the fight a lot more. I thought it was a nice little back and forth action. A nice like Michael Myers getting the upper hand on her, Laurie getting the upper hand on him. It was a nice little back and forth interaction, fun, high-paced moments where you think he has her, and some moments where you think she has him, but it wasn't that. And then it ultimately ends with her getting the better half of this fight, and she traps him, slits up his throat, you know, knifes his hands to the counter, drops the fridge on him. I'm just naming all this stuff that happened to him. And he's still popping up. He's still getting up from that stuff. He's still being Michael Myers, you know? And then Laurie even takes off his mask, slits his throat. And I like that they go so crazy to kill him, because us as horror fans, right? Us as horror fans are always like, oh my God, like the good person stabs the killer once, they drop their knife, they walk away, and that's it. Like, why are you doing that? You're stupid. We always say that as horror fans, like the person's stupid. In this case, they didn't do that. They made sure he was dead. Like, Allison came in too at the end of this fight, and they were both, you know, putting an end to Michael Myers, and they were just making sure he's dead. And even though they slit his throat, even though they did all this stuff, it still wasn't enough. Also, let me say, Laurie had some really good quote lines here and quotes and just great sayings in this whole fight too near the ending. But that still wasn't even enough. All the stuff they just did to him, slitting his throat and all that stuff, it wasn't enough. Laurie wanted to make sure, so they brought him to the compactor in front of everyone in Haddonfield and compacted his body to make sure there was absolutely nothing left. And at first I saw this whole scene as a complete slap in the face to Michael Myers and disrespect to him. But after a rewatch, I still have that part of my brain that still thinks that's still confused about all that stuff. But another part of my brain is like, I appreciate good people in horror not being stupid and not just stabbing them once or twice and thinking that they're magically gone. I'm happy that these characters, Laurie and Allison, took the extra step and they made sure that he was dead. But yeah, guys, that's some thoughts. That's a little quick review on Halloween Ends. It's nuts. It's nuts that this movie has kind of twisted to a mixed thing for me, a mixed bag for me now, because after the first watch, and I can't stress it enough, I had so much hate for this movie, for my guy Michael Myers, my favorite of all time in horror, but I'm starting to appreciate it more, and I feel like if I watch it a third time, who knows, maybe I could start saying I'm a fan of this movie, who knows, but maybe with this mixed movie, maybe I could watch it a third time and I'll hate it. It's just a lot of opinions on this movie. So many horror fans think different things and they think strongly of it, and I understand every take at this point, and I'm still trying to understand this film myself. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you had some fun with this review. I'll see you guys next time. Horror 31st out. One final thing, one final take. I still do think overall that this whole story, this whole thing going with Corey is the wrong timing. I do think it is very wrong timing as a final chapter overall if I had to choose. But due to the reasons I said in this video, it could work. It could work. The timing could work, but for so many people, this movie will remain a wrong timing thing.